What if I told you that every financial struggle you ever faced, the debt, the anxiety, that constant feeling of just running in place,
Mhm.
wasn't primarily about the economy or a flaw in your business plan or even your work ethic?
Okay, I'm listening.
What if it was about a hidden, internalized, uh, a linguistic code that has been silently programming your reality for decades?
A linguistic
It
code.
sounds completely radical, I know, but today we are doing a deep dive into something pretty extraordinary. We're analyzing excerpts from a transcript that discusses a source we can only call a sacred manuscript.
And this text, it's been, what, hidden from mainstream financial thinking for over 100 years?
That's the claim, and it promises to reveal nothing less than how to command wealth with words.
And that's really our mission for you, the learner, today.
Mm.
We're trying to cut through all the noise to understand this invisible architecture of consciousness and money.
Right.
Because the key takeaway, right from the start, is that most of what we do externally, getting a new
Um,
job, changing an investment strategy, it's all superficial.
the manuscript has a great phrase for it.
It does. It calls it rearranging furniture on the Titanic.
Yeah.
It feels like progress, but the real problem, the internal programming, is completely unchanged.
That distinction is huge, so let's just state the core claim right up front.
Let's do it.
The manuscript argues that wealth is attracted not by what you do, but by the precise words you choose, both the ones you say and the ones you think.
And these words, they act as a kind of energetic signature, a vibrational blueprint, which the universe then has to match.
Okay, so let's unpack that. I want to start with the foundation, the origin story of this manuscript, because it's fascinating.
It really is. It traces back over a century to this unnamed man.
An industrial titan. I mean, this guy had tremendous wealth, incredible influence,
Until he didn't.
until a single catastrophic financial event just wiped out his entire fortune.
And instead of jumping back into the market using the same old methods that just failed him.
He disappeared for 7 years. His entire focus was to uncover what he called the invisible mechanics behind wealth.
And what he discovered, which is the whole basis for this source material, it just completely inverts how we think about money.
Right. Most people believe money moves from the outside in.
From the job, the market, into your bank account. He found the exact opposite.
Wealth originates entirely from consciousness.
Exactly. And it expresses itself outward, reflecting an internal state that sources call abundance consciousness.
So he documented how our language,
Right.
our words, are the interface.
The primary interface, yeah, between our internal world and our external material reality.
That is a provocative claim. I mean, a lot of people would just dismiss that as abstract thinking. How does the manuscript explain the mechanism?
Well, it treats words not as just, passive communication.
Okay.
It treats them as energetic commands, like specific instructions sent out to the quantum field.
The living matrix of potential.
That's the phrase. And you can think of it less like magic and more like programming code. You issue the code with your language, and that matrix executes it
With mathematical precision.
with absolute certainty. And it doesn't care if the command is good for you or bad for you. It just runs the code.
Which means the casual language we use every single day must be constantly issuing commands we don't even intend.
Precisely. This is why a phrase as common, as seemingly harmless as "I can't afford it" is so destructive.
It's not a description of reality.
No. The manuscript says it's an instruction to contract. You're telling the universe, limit my resources, close off this path, confirm that I am in a state of lack.
And the wealthy, whether they know it or not, they instinctively avoid that kind of language.
They avoid any language that confirms limitation.
So the shift is actually simple, but the impact is profound. Instead of saying, I can't afford it, which is like slamming a door,
You use an open-ended statement.
things like, how can I afford it? Or, that's not aligned with my current financial priorities.
One creates a dead end, the other invites creative solutions to walk through. It's a completely different energy.
So if we go deeper on that, we have to talk about the programming itself. The source material calls it the scarcity OS.
The scarcity operating system.
Yeah.
These are the deep limiting beliefs. Things like money is hard to earn, money doesn't grow on trees.
You have to work hard for every penny.
All of those.
Yeah.
They were installed in your consciousness, word by word, mostly when you were a child. And that OS is still running silently in the background.
Executing its programming with flawless precision, but without your conscious permission.
Exactly. Which brings us to a concept that really flies in the face of modern culture.
The principle of struggle.
The glorification of the hustle, the 247 grind. The manuscript is emphatic. Struggle creates resistance.
So why is that? Why does fighting harder for something seem to push it further away?
Because the act of struggling is a low-frequency state. When you approach money with desperation, with anxiety, that feeling of being under siege,
That needy energy.
that energy generates a magnetic field that repels. You're broadcasting lack, so you attract more circumstances that confirm lack. The effort itself is misaligned.
I love the analogy we found in the notes. It's like trying to catch a butterfly.
Yeah.
If you're aggressive, running after it, swinging a net, it's just going to evade you.
Of course.
But if you stop, if you become calm and still, maybe offer a flower. Sometimes that butterfly just lands right on you. You shift from chasing to attracting.
That is the perfect distillation of the idea. Money, according to this manuscript, is crystallized energy.
A current that moves through the universe.
Right, it's not some static thing you have to hoard. So the difference between those who prosper and those who struggle isn't about hours worked. It's the frequency at which they're vibrating while they work.
So if your internal frequency is just set to lack, you're literally blind to the opportunities right in front of you.
That's the radio station analogy. If you are tuned to poverty consciousness, if you're broadcasting and receiving on the frequency of lack, you are incapable of picking up the abundance transmissions that are available all the time.
You could be surrounded by resources.
But your internal receiver isn't calibrated to that wavelength. You only see the evidence that confirms your internal belief system.
Okay, let's pivot now to something the manuscript calls the merciless mirror, because this is where it can get uncomfortable for people.
It really can.
The source material basically forces you to realize that your bank account isn't just reflecting the economy. It's showing you exactly how you feel about yourself at the deepest level.
And this is where we have to talk about self-worth. The manuscript is unequivocal on this.
If you haven't done that internal work,
To establish an unshakable sense of deserving, then no external strategy, no stock pick, no business plan will ever create lasting, sustainable abundance,
unshakable success requires an unshakable sense of deserving.
which acts as the true magnet.
And often that work is blocked by a very specific, deeply ingrained internal conflict.
The toxic association.
Exactly. The idea that wealth and moral corruption are linked. Rich people are greedy, or spiritual people shouldn't care about money.
And that internal contradiction is the ultimate form of unconscious sabotage. Your psyche, when it's forced to choose, will always protect its moral identity over its financial success.
So if you subconsciously believe that having wealth makes you a bad person,
Your system will choose the path of poor and good every single time. It'll find ways to lose money, to miss deadlines, to protect that core identity.
so how does the manuscript resolve that?
By decoupling them completely, it presents money as a completely neutral tool. It's just an amplifier.
Doesn't make you good or bad.
It just makes you more of whatever consciousness is wielding it.
Yeah.
A generous person with money becomes a philanthropist. A fearful person with money becomes a hoarder. The tool itself is neutral.
So if we accept this, it completely flips the order of manifestation. The conventional wisdom is backwards.
Work hard. Make money feel secure. That's what we're all taught.
The manuscript demands a total restructuring of that. First, you embody the vibrational frequency of abundance. You feel secure now.
Then you take inspired action from that state.
And only then does the money flow naturally as a result.
It's a consequence, not a cause.
Okay, let's get into the practical application. How does the learner move from theory to reality?
The core idea is surgical. You have to dismantle the old verbal architecture and install a completely new linguistic framework.
And this isn't just, fluffy positive thinking.
No, it requires systematic, conscious reprogramming. This is where the neuroscience cited in the transcripts comes in.
Right. The brain can't tell the difference.
It can't distinguish between a thought you're just thinking and a direct command you're issuing to your system.
And repetition creates neural superhighways.
Exactly. So when you repeat things like, I never have enough money, that becomes an automatic response. It runs with ruthless efficiency. The goal of these protocols is to close those highways and build new ones.
Okay, let's break down the 7-day transformation protocol. Day 1 is the critical first step. It's just pure observation.
Ruthless observation.
You become a silent witness to every limiting thought, every spoken phrase, every inner complaint you have about money. You don't try to change it yet.
You just notice it.
Yeah.
And you also notice the physical feeling that comes with it.
Can you give us an example of what someone should be watching for?
For sure. It's that moment when a friend suggests, say, a new venture, or even just a slightly expensive dinner.
And your immediate silent reflex is,
I just don't have the time or money for that. That's the scarcity OS firing. The instruction is to just observe that thought and notice if your shoulders tighten up or your chest feels heavy.
that awareness is the first step.
It's the first disruption of the pattern. Then, moving beyond that, the next tool is the void technique.
Shifting from chasing to attracting.
This is about actively releasing that desperate energy of pursuit. It's not about being lazy. It's about creating an energetic void, a space of calm receptivity and trust.
And the source says that abundance rushes to fill that void naturally.
Right. It leverages the principle that nature abhors a vacuum. You stop gripping so tightly that you're choking off the flow.
And finally, there's a really precise tool for hacking the nervous system, the prosperity breathing exercise.
The millionaire meditation, as the source calls it. And this isn't just random breathing.
No, it's a specific rhythm. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, and a long exhale for 8 seconds.
And that rhythm is critical. That long exhale forces a physiological shift. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system.
The rest and receive state.
It moves you out of high-stress beta waves into calmer alpha-theta states. And when your nervous system is calm, the new programming like visualizing, inhaling golden light, and exhaling limiting beliefs can bypass the conscious mind and get in at a much deeper level.
Okay, we have the foundation, we have the tools. Now for the ultimate shift in mindset.
The crucial distinction between wanting and deciding.
Yes. Most people spend their lives perpetually wanting things. They hope for wealth, they pray for opportunity.
But that energy of want actually maintains separation. It implies, I don't have it. It keeps you in a state of lack.
Whereas a true decision, the manuscript says it's an act of pure commitment. The word itself, decision, comes from the Latin for to cut off.
You are literally cutting away all alternative possibilities.
Right.
You sever your connection to any path that doesn't lead exactly where you've chosen to go.
And that unified focus creates a kind of gravitational pull.
A magnetic force that attracts the resources you need. And the most sophisticated technique for this is called deciding from your future self.
It's like neurological time travel.
It is. Instead of analyzing a decision from your current, maybe scarcity-based perspective,
You project yourself forward, say, 5 years to a point where you've already achieved that abundance you're aiming for.
and then you look back from that successful vantage point.
And suddenly, the choices that seemed agonizingly risky from your current state, the tough negotiation, the big investment, they look completely reasonable.
Logical, even inevitable. You're borrowing the clarity and the courage of your future abundant self to make the right choice today.
So if we tie all of this together, what's the final profound insight from the manuscript?
It's that the entire journey, every single moment of financial struggle, was never really about the money itself.
The money was just the lure.
The carrot. It was designed to guide your evolution, to force you to examine these deeper issues of worth and identity and the power of your own consciousness.
The manuscript insists that the seeker was never separate from abundance to begin with.
They were just temporarily confused into believing they're limited,
Hmm.
confused by their words and their deep-seated beliefs.
So for you, the learner, what does all this mean? I think the ultimate power revealed here is recognizing that your everyday words aren't passive descriptions.
They're active spells.
Are commands
Yeah.
issued to the field of potential, and the transformation begins the very instant you become conscious of the choices you are making with your language.
So a final thought. Given the power of repetition, and given that your brain can't distinguish between a thought you're having and a command you're issuing, how quickly and how dramatically could your financial reality begin to change if you just completely replaced every single limiting phrase spoken or just thought in your daily life for the next 72 hours? That is the experiment the manuscript challenges us all to run.